Hello everyone, welcome to our webinar about how to ramp up your salespeople faster. My name is Paulus Perkkiö, I'm CEO and founder in Seidat, and I'm here together with Samuli. Welcome Samuli.
Thank you very much.
And I will give you opportunity to introduce yourself a little bit more detailed later. But when we are waiting for people to arrive this session, I can already say that if you are not already following our social media channels, especially LinkedIn and Instagram, I really recommend you to click those channels and our accounts and follow them, because in those channels we are all the time actively telling our latest news and what kind of events are coming and maybe what kind of innovations we have done lately. And yes, now we are in this webinar, and the webinar topic is, as I said, how to ramp up new sales people. And it's also in Finnish, we had a little bit different kind of title, but in that title, we were asking why salespeople are not succeeding well every time. And it's also one other viewpoint of the same topic. But today, we will, on the agenda, we have the change in sales and salespeople market. I would add to this sentence we will discuss about onboarding, sales concept, and what is the idea of sales content from the point of view how to scale sales. What is the reason to build sales concepts and how it can help you to scale your business. And of course, we are Seidat is a tech company, and of course we are interested also about how all kind of technologies can support you to succeed. So if I shortly introduce myself, I'm Paulus, and my background is in sales. I have about 30 years background. I have started to sell Christmas cards from door to door. It's my first ever sales work when I was teenager. And after that, I have done several kind of sales. Mostly, I have sold professional services like marketing and sales consulting, and also now in a tech company, we have sold quite a lot our platform. But I'm not alone here. I have a guest, Samuli Salonen from Talent.B. Welcome, Samuli.
Thank you very much. And happy to introduce myself quickly as well. So I'm the founder and CEO of Talent.B. At Talent.B, we do talent acquisition, so recruitments, employee branding, mainly for SaaS companies. And we do kind of go-to-market roles, sales marketing, and then kind of technical roles, developers, product owners, everything like that. But even though the kind of title says I'm the founder, I'm CEO, I am still the sales guy of our company, trying to get new customers. And before launching my own business, I've been mainly doing sales leadership, everything regarding that one. And actually, fun that you mentioned regarding kind of selling those Christmas cards. That is exactly where I started my sales career as well. I think I was like 10 or 11 or something like that at the time. But from there, I've been selling a lot of different things, everything from apartments to banking services to sales coaching, marketing services, and a lot of other things as well. So I would say quite a broad background regarding different sales. And I think today's agenda super interesting to chat on, like how to get salespeople kind of ramp up faster. I think this is a big problem for kind of a lot of companies. I've been struggling with this as well, kind of when I was working as a head of sales. So a lot of learnings from there. But I think we could kind of start today's session, kind of what is going on in the kind of sales market currently. As we know, the kind of market is kind of shifting a lot. So maybe a quick introduction to that one. In 2020, I think everyone remembers when kind of COVID hit, and that did a big change to how we are doing sales. Basically, everything went like overnight from face-to-face sales to remote sales. And I still remember talking with a lot of sales leaders at the time or salespeople, and they were like, "Hey, we are not able to kind of sell remotely. We need to see the person. We need to shake the hand in order to make the deal." But suddenly we saw that most of the organizations were actually way more effective in their sales. They were hitting record numbers, and the main reason for that one was the sales became like way more efficient. We're able to see more clients in a day, have more calls, and so forth. Then another big change regarding what's going on in B2B sales is online sales. It might be a surprising fact, but there are actually more B2B online stores than there are B2C online stores right now. So everything is going to online, and the main reason for this is, as a consumers, we are used to buying things online. I think whatever I want to buy, I go to online and try to buy it from there. A good example from today, I was feeling like, hey, I want to grill something in the evening, and I realized that my gas bottle in my grill is empty, and I tried to Google like, hey, can I have that one delivered home to me? So that is kind of the first place where you want to buy. Or if you want to buy, let's say, recruitment services or a software for something, you typically go to Google or some website, and you kind of want to see pricing, you want to see how this works, and do most of the stuff independently rather than talk to a salesperson, unless the salesperson can really provide value, be an expert on the field. So that's something that is changing a lot. Then, of course, the economic situation, interest rates, war, electricity, inflation, everything regarding that one. And that's been making, say, sales way harder. And I think the main reason for that one is like most buyers are very cautious on kind of where to use the money. I've seen in my day-to-day life that when I try to sell, let's say, to HR director or head of people, they are most of the time unable to make the decision, and the decision actually goes to the C-level, to the CEO, to the founder. So that's happening a lot. And because of all this, I feel like there are a lot of kind of good salespeople free, especially kind of junior salespeople. I've noticed like when we open up a job ad for our customers, we are getting way more applications than you did like 1 year or 2 years ago. So that's happening a lot. And I think kind of everything that I went through here has also kind of shifted the focus to kind of globalization. And what I mean by this is that, for example, Finnish companies like, for example, Seidat, like you are now competing against like bigger players from the market who have like huge budget for marketing, all that. But then at the same time, it gives you an opportunity to maybe have customers from outside of Finland as well, when you can do the sales remotely and all that. So a lot of changes happening. I think if I see the kind of whole sales career that I have had a little bit more than 10 years ago, this is for sure the kind of biggest changes that I've seen in my years. But would be interesting to hear your thoughts on this, Paulus. You've been kind of doing sales around 3 times more than me, so around 30 years. Like, have you ever seen a kind of bigger shift in the market? What's going on in the market compared to the current moment?
No, absolutely not. I really think that this change from face-to-face sales to remote sales, it has been the biggest change I have ever met. Luckily, we did it ourselves before the COVID time. So we were not in the situation where we must change something on our side. So it was very natural for us to continue how we have done it earlier. But still, it changed the name of the game, because earlier it was typically so that people, the other side, was sitting in a meeting room, several people there in one around the table, and we tried to discuss with them together. And after the COVID came, of course, everyone was sitting at their home, and we had separate lines for everyone. But what you mentioned about this direction where sales has developed, we have seen all of those. So online sales is really important. It's part of the whole sales nature at the moment, and the economical situations, they are changing. Companies have different kind of challenges all the time, and because of those challenges, it's also challenging to sell, and you must build your value prop more actively. Earlier it was enough to get some kind of solution, but now everything must be more or less based on the economical profit what you can give to your customer by providing your solution. So I think this kind of situation has changed the world quite a lot. And I must say also that globalization, as you mentioned, it is a really big game changer everywhere, because we are now used to buy online. We are now used to remote meetings. So it doesn't matter where the seller is. I can buy everything from everywhere. And all people are doing this way. And that's why the world is smaller and smaller all the time. But if you think about this situation, this is what has happened. But how do you see how it will develop from this point to towards future?
Yeah, I think there are kind of two key trends I see, and these are something that we at Talent are investing heavily when it comes to our sales. So number one, brand, and kind of how much a company brand or a personal brand affects on kind of way of the people are buying. And what I mean by this is like whether we are looking at let's say a software like yours, there are for sure like competitors who have kind of similar features to your software. And same goes for us, talent acquisition agency. There are a lot of good kind of recruitment agencies out there, a lot of good employer branding agencies out there that can do the same thing that we do. And I believe that people are kind of buying the brand, actually, kind of the concept or the idea or kind of anything like that regarding the product or the service. I think a good example for me, I have my phone here, iPhone 14 Pro. Like, I don't need to pay 1.5K for a phone, but it's a brand. It kind of makes me look cool. I have the best phone out there. And so I think that is number one. And kind of regarding that one, what, for example, we are doing is like publishing a lot of kind of valuable content for our customers. For us, I would say we are quite a playful brand. Our name is Talent Bee. So we have a lot of stuff around yellow, and we have a lot of stuff regarding bees, and kind of combining those, because that is kind of something that people will remember rather than being just a kind of boring company brand. So that's been working extremely well for us. And I think one kind of key thing regarding brand as well is kind of how do you position yourself, how do you tell your story, what is your ideal customer profile. A good example of this, for example, we just got our first customer from the Netherlands market. It's a SaaS company from there, and I was thinking, like, why in hell a SaaS company from Netherlands decides to partner up with a Finnish agency to recruit people in the Netherlands market? And I asked the same question from the customer, like, why? And there was two main reasons. Reason number one, they want to build their own employer branding, and they were very happy on the way that we are building our own brand. So they wanted to kind of have a company that are successfully building their own brand, so they can help then build their own brand. And the second one was the focus point. So we focus only on helping SaaS companies, and they were a SaaS company, and they really liked the approach. And when I told them that the reason why we kind of chose this field was like having background from there, and we really believe that kind of recruitment should be a business function. So we understand your business, what is going on when you are raising a round of funding, and what's going on in the business. So that's kind of the power of brand, and I really believe in that. And with good brand, you are able to get more customers, you are able to increase your pricing and all that. So that's the one thing, because if you think like whatever you want to buy right now, you have some brand in mind. If you are like, hey, I need booking agencies to help us with booking, there are for sure like one or two companies come up to your mind. Or if you are like, hey, I want to eat something tonight somewhere, you have like few restaurants that comes to your mind, and that is kind of the power of brand. And I think like B2B companies should be investing heavily over there. That's what we are doing. And secondly, kind of technology, especially the AI and what's going on in there. I think that will change the game from few different perspectives. First, the brand building actually, and content production and all that. Nowadays, it's way more efficient to produce videos, audio, text-based content with help of AI. And for example, I've noticed that on LinkedIn, there are like way more like written content right now. And a lot of that one is done by AI. And that is, for example, a reason why I have shifted my own company towards pictures and videos on LinkedIn, because it's getting like too populated with the kind of written content. So that's kind of changing on the marketing side of things. But then on the sales side of things, I think, prospecting will be changing a lot in the upcoming years. Like, first of all, like, where do you find the companies, the contact information? I think everything regarding that one will be automated. It's automated a lot already, but it will be automated way more. But then the outreach will be automated a lot as well. Automatic sequences on the email, automatic AI calls or everything like that. And I believe that over there, kind of relationships will be way more important. For example, I just yesterday asked one of my, how would I say it? One of my past sales guys. We never did any cooperation together at my time in my previous agency. But I asked him like if he knew anyone around this industry that I should be speaking with. And he did. And then I asked like if that person can introduce myself or me to that person. So I got a kind of warm introduction. And I do believe that relationships, introductions, communities, they will be kind of big hits in the upcoming years. What do you think? Like, do you see some big trends or something that you believe in?
I really believe it's the same topics, because of course AI is really interesting opportunity to all of us, but when everyone is using it and filling every place with that kind of content, it will be tricky. It will be tricky, and then it means that you will start using more actively once again your network and build that relationships, and you trust only those people more actively. But if you come back to our market, and it is changing, and if you really want to get better results in sales on team level, and we are starting to onboard new people to our team to make them productive as soon as possible, what are your main tips for people who are thinking that kind of things, thinking about onboarding? What does it mean? How to onboard effectively? And maybe also it's interesting we had this same webinar also in Finnish, and there we were discussing also about re-onboarding.
Exactly.
How do you feel onboarding? What does it mean?
Yeah, for me, kind of onboarding, what does it mean? It kind of means the time from the moment that kind of you start that initial conversation with a potential candidate until that candidate is up and running. So I actually think that, for example, your recruitment process is already part of your onboarding. So kind of what do you share about your company over there? But I think kind of if we kind of really think about onboarding, most of the time onboarding starts when the person starts working in your company. And I think onboarding kind of should end when the person is kind of hitting their sales goals. So I think a mistake that a lot of companies are doing is like the onboarding is like 2 weeks. Like, hey, let's go through everything and then off you go. But I think it kind of should be longer. Of course, you know, in the beginning, you have more session regarding your stories, your customer problems, your product, everything like that. But still, you should be like really following up. I think the question is really more about the kind of term, like, hey, should we call it onboarding still after the first month, or should we call it sales leadership or coaching, or what we should be calling it? But I think kind of the key in success over there is like, first of all, it starts from the recruitment. And what I mean by this is like during a recruitment process, you should be able to identify what are the kind of skill gaps that this person is having. And I don't believe that they are like kind of these unicorn salespeople who are like very good at everything that they are doing. I think for most people, there are kind of things that they are very good, and then there are some things that they are okay. And I think the key is to really understand like which are which. And I think a good thing to do here is kind of tailor-made the onboarding process for a person. Kind of same as in sales. You know, in sales, you have a sales playbook. You have that kind of process over there, like, hey, this is how we do our discovery call. This is how we do our presentation. This is how we do our contract space and so forth. But still, even though you have the process over there, you are doing it a bit differently depending on who you are selling to. So if you are selling to CFO, you might do things differently than what you are doing when you are selling for a founder. So kind of same goes for here. So if you're a junior salesperson or more senior salesperson, most likely the onboarding shouldn't be exactly the same. They are the basics that you go through with everyone, but then there are like tailor-made stuff regarding the kind of person itself. And for me, like one of the key things in succeeding in sales was the moment when I kind of realized that I shouldn't be actually focusing on my own service or my own product or how that one is working. I think that is a mistake that a lot of, for example, software companies are doing, that they are going through the product in super detail, focusing only on the product. I think companies should be focusing more on the kind of customer side of things. So what problems customers are actually having, how this product is solving those problems. Of course, you need to be able to kind of demo your product, show around. But I think the key is to understand the problem. And for example, a good example of this one is from HubSpot. I think most of the listeners do know HubSpot and what they are doing when anyone is starting at HubSpot. So HubSpot is kind of offering this CRM system. There's Marketing Hub, there's Sales Hub, everything like that. And then they have this kind of website builder as well. So they kind of make sure that everyone kind of establishes their own blog. So they need to be doing blogging for a while. So they're going to understand how hard can it be with a shitty system. So then you're going to understand the pain points that customers are having. And then when you are actually, for example, demoing the product, showing the features, it's not a kind of feature dump, but it's rather showing the customers how you are solving their problems. So I think that's kind of the key over there. And yeah, but would be interesting to hear your thoughts. I think you have onboarded way more salespeople in your career than I have. So what's kind of your best practices in succeeding in the onboarding part?
I must start with that. You mentioned the HubSpot. People must start creating a blog. Because we are working with sales presentations, and when you apply to us to be a sales rep in our team, then we ask you to create that presentation of yourself immediately. So we are doing that during the recruiting process, and there has been several interesting discussions after that. because it has helped also those people to understand what we are really doing. It's easy to check from the website and thinking, okay, this is this kind of tech company who is doing this and that, but making them to do those things themselves opens eyes typically quite a lot. But if you think about this onboarding, I think this idea of having onboarding until the person is succeeding well enough is really important. And as you say, the onboarding should start from the recruiting process. And what I have learned is that it's really important that we understand what kind of people are able to sell our product. If you are recruiting people who are used to sell, let's say, 100,000 euro products and solutions, but you in your business you are typically selling something like 10,000 euro solutions, the difference is really huge, and it means that the person should have much more separate kind of activities. And this kind of challenge is something what is not, it's in my experience, it's really hard to cover and make those people who are used to sell these big solutions to smaller ones because of the activity level. They can sell, but not actively enough. And that's why I think it's really important to understand what kind of profile is the correct one, where you can have a good opportunity to make them succeed. And it's also, if you are now listening to this webinar and you are thinking that, okay, I want to get better results and I'm not performing well enough, it's also this kind of thinking what you can maybe think that, okay, where have you succeed? If you have succeed on totally different kind of sales, you must change quite a lot of your work, how you do it, how do you do the whole sales process, how active you are. You must change that quite a lot, and there you can find maybe the way how you can perform better. And yeah, that's maybe one important thing. And if I want to continue about the onboarding, I must jump to the next topic about sales concepts. And I think those sales concepts, they are really important part of that onboarding. Of course, it's important to if you think about the scaling your sales engine, and you have really interesting opinions about that.
Yeah, I think the kind of key here when we are talking about kind of scaling the sales team is kind of first finding a scalable model before kind of putting any money to that one. And I think kind of good example here, and this is a hard question, like whether it's about people or processes. But what I mean by this is, like, typically if we think about organizations when you are starting up, you typically in the beginning, you work as a founder, you are doing all the sales. That is, for example, the current situation at Talent.B. But kind of then when you start to grow up, you want to have more customers, then you hire a salesperson. And typically at that point, you already have some kind of processes in place, but I think that's kind of the first testing point on whether your processes are working or not. And maybe the first person kind of succeeds. Then you are like, hey, okay, seems like my processes are working. Let's hire another person. And then that person fails. Then you are like, okay, maybe my processes wasn't ready. Maybe just the first person I hired, he or she is very, very good. So then you kind of go back to the kind of drawing board and try to figure out, like, what are the problems with my process. And that is a kind of long journey. Typically, you might need to hire hire people, fire people, work on the process, and hopefully in the end you'll find a process where you know that if I hire a person to execute this process, that person is bringing results for me. I think you can't never get to the kind of situation in sales where 100% of your kind of salespeople are succeeding. That is just kind of too hard and kind of impossible task. But I think for most companies, the rate is like 40% of salespeople succeed. But if you can get that number, let's say up to 60% or 80%, that is a success in my mind. And then when we think like what does a sales process actually mean? I think for me, kind of been building few sales playbooks. Like for me, actually where it starts is not your sales process, but actually customers buying process. And I have this saying that you shouldn't be optimizing your sales process, you should be optimizing your customers buying process. So that is kind of the first thing to start from. And I think one of the easiest way to do this is talk with your customers. Take few cases that you won and few cases that you lost. Talk with the customers and share with them like, hey, we are kind of working on our sales process and would love to interview you regarding your kind of buying process. Hey, can you walk me through like the whole process? And then the customers will start like, hey, yeah, okay, we had the first call with you. And then you're like, no, stop. Like, what happened before that one? Like, when did you realize that you need help? And then they share the story of that one. And then I was like, hey, what did you do next? Like, did you ask for referrals or did you went to Google or something? Okay, you went here. Okay. And then you had kind of few companies to talk to, like, hey, who were they? Like, where do you find each of them? Then you want to know, like, after the first discussion with all these companies, how did you choose who you continue to speak with? Then when you get the offers, like, how did you make the decision? Who in your end participated in the decision making? Who signed the contract in the end? So you can go through the whole buying process first. And after you learn about the kind of buying process, then you can think about, okay, how I can make sure that my sales process is matching that buying process. And then basically you have all the kind of different steps over there. First, like what you do in your marketing, what kind of content they want to consume, if you do some outreach, what channels do work the best. Then when you have the first call, like what are the things that customers are interested in those calls? For most customers, it's not about having a 30-minute discovery. Like customers, they kind of want to have the feeling that, hey, okay, now the salesperson is listening to me, but no one likes to have a 30-minute call where you are only asking questions. They want to get some value. They want to get some insights to their situation. So kind of through that one, you track down the whole process. And then I think it's a lot about kind of testing the process. So when you have the process, you give it to your salesperson, and then you're, hey, try this out. Then you see what works, what didn't, and then you realize like, okay, hey, I forget to kind of wrote down this thing or this thing, and then you can kind of change that one. And I think the key here is like you cannot make the process too detailed, because if the process is too detailed, then no one is kind of going through with that one. So I think the key is to identify the value moments of the process. What are the key elements that everyone should be doing? And then at the same time, you are hiring people you trust. Like you should be hiring those people that you trust to do that job in the end. So there is kind of a process that is, at the same time tight enough, but loose enough. So not too much, not too little. And then you kind of run through that one. So I think that's my kind of key takeaways regarding, building processes and kind of scalable engine for sales.
I want to add one thing. And I think it's really important to analyze if you are not getting good enough results, is that and you are evaluating your process. But at the same time, you must evaluate the ICP, the ideal customer profile. If you are selling to right kind of industries which have right kind of business model, and are you meeting and are you selling to exactly those decision makers who will make the decision? I think those are really important steps which you must understand. The industry itself, the business, different kind of business models inside the industry, and the decision-making roles. if you are not understanding those, I think you still can have exactly optimal process, but if you are lacking the understanding of your ICP, then the process will not work. And I think understanding the ICP as well as possible is starting point to do every kind of sales process.
Yeah, I think that's the key in kind of succeeding. For me, like we do a lot of customer research at Talent.B, and that's one of the, I think, best ways to kind of first optimize your sales process, but then at the same time kind of get a lot of valuable insights for your kind of product development, your service development. So for example, during this spring, I think I spoke roughly with 50 SaaS founders or SaaS kind of talent acquisition leaders, and just went through like what's going on in their day-to-day life, like what challenges that they are having, where they are succeeding, what's going on in the business, all that, and kind of getting all the learnings from there, and that really helps in kind of having better discussions with them. And I think in the beginning you are also kind of figuring out what your ICP is. So kind of if you are in the start of your kind of business journey, you of course need to build some kind of hypothesis on things, but then you really want to evaluate if that one is working or not. And for example, for us, like in the beginning when we wrote down our ICP, it has changed a lot. And the main reason why it has changed is actually kind of based on data. So we've noticed, like when we look at which companies are the happiest ones, they are actually not the ones that we thought would be. It's kind of different segment actually. So it's typically a learning journey to really identify the ICP. And I think that's a very good tip for salespersons, head of sales, to really kind of study your ICP like hell. If you understand what's going on in their kind of day-to-day life, the problems, kind of selling becomes so much more easier.
Yes, if you think about, if you continue and we think that we have onboarded new salespeople, we have built some sales playbook, we think that we have a concept. What could be the next step? What do you think? How can you support salespeople to follow the sales concept? Can technology help that?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of technology and leadership for sure. And I think technology is changing the way that we are leading people as well a lot. But I think the main thing here is that like technology is not kind of removing salespeople. It's more about kind of changing the role of salespeople. So really focusing on the most important parts, bringing in the value for customers, and really kind of automating kind of the boring parts or the manual parts. So you're going to focus on the right things. And kind of regarding processes, for sure, when we have kind of technology is very good at doing the things in the process. So if you can really kind of nail down the process, like, hey, this is exactly what you should be doing, it's kind of easy to automate with tech. So that's something that is happening. And that is actually kind of the last point over there, kind of same quality for everyone. I think this is a big shift that technology is creating. So basically, for example, if we think about, let's say, follow-up emails, I think nowadays a good salesperson might send a better follow-up email than an average salesperson. But in the future, that is something that will be most likely automated kind of fully. So there is some AI tool listening to your call, whether it's Firefly's AI or Woodpecker or something else. And then basically from there, you can push that information, let's say through Zapier, which is kind of integration platform, to, let's say, ChatGPT or some other kind of AI content tool, to wrap that one down and send a follow-up email kind of automatically. So it's kind of making the game, I would say, more fair for everyone. So it's kind of harder to be kind of better than anyone else. But then the kind of third point over there, so technology will support sales leadership. So I wanted to use Gong as an example. So it's basically a kind of revenue intelligence platform. And the kind of key over there is that, for example, for sales leaders or revenue leaders, you're kind of able to monitor what is going on with the customer discussions from multiple perspectives. So just give a few kind of use cases here. First, let's say that you've identified that in a sales call, typically you win deals when the customer is talking at least 50% of the time. So with Kong, you can kind of analyze the sales calls of your reps. It will automatically kind of flag green or red whether the customer talked enough on the call, or if you want to make sure that on the first call you are always discussing budget or investment with customers, you can kind of tag that word in a call. So if there is a call where the seller or the customer is not mentioning budget, investment, pricing, it will kind of flag that case, like, hey, make sure the rep has talked about the pricing with the customers. Or if you want to get insight from the competitors, like every time in the sales calls some competitor is mentioned, you get a kind of information from that one. So it's kind of, first of all, kind of automating a lot of parts from the sales leaders if you don't need to, participate that many calls to listen to those. But then at the same time, it's making things way more efficient. And I think they're gonna, one of the newest things that like companies like Kong are doing is actually kind of going to the coaching in a way that is not after the call, but actually during the call. And what I mean by this is like the Kong could be listening, like, hey, when a customer mentioned that, okay, hey, we are talking with this other company as well. Then there is kind of a player card coming in, like, hey, here's how you can position ourselves against this other player. So it's kind of sales coaching at the same time as well. So I think super interesting what technology is doing for the sales field.
Yeah, I think it's really important. And from our perspective, if you think about our platform, for example, I think that it's really important that when you start using all kind of technologies helping you during the sales process, try to find that kind of solutions which can be integrated to part of your marketing and sales engine already, what you have built earlier. And then using also those kind of technologies which you can use in several touch points during the process, so that you will not have for every single sales process stage different kind of several tools. It of course, the simple, the more efficient it is. And the less you have a different kind of tools, the better it will be for you, for your salespeople.
Exactly. And I think kind of one kind of group of tools that is becoming more and more popular are actually those integrations tools like Zapier. And basically the idea there is that you can combine kind of multiple tools in one, or you have like one main source of data, and then you have like multiple tools that are kind of coming in there and making sure that you are integrated with everything. But yeah, I totally agree that kind of data flow between tools and the kind of automations is super crucial.
Yeah. How would you summarize this kind of discussion what we have had now? What if you want to get better results, what are the main points? What do you think? What should you follow?
Yeah, I think kind of the main things here. So like, first of all, I think the kind of time of having these, super sales stars is kind of getting over. You can of course like find for one or two of those, but if you really want to have a scalable company, really grow big, that typically requires having like a lot of salespeople. So the key over there is like really having those scalable processes in place. Then learning number two, technology will not replace salespeople, but really kind of support salespeople in order to like focus on the most important tasks in their work and kind of making sales more efficient in the future. I think kind of interesting part regarding on that one is like, now we've been talking about sales and how technology is helping salespeople to be more efficient, but I think technology will actually change a lot of the way that kind of people are buying as well. I think that would be a super interesting topic to dig deeper, for example, for the discovery call, like in the future, will there be a kind of real person from the buying side joining that one, or can you just send an kind of AI robot that knows everything about your business, send it there, and then the sales rep can ask questions from that kind of AI robot, and then you can get an offer or something. But I think kind of buying will change a lot as well. Thirdly, kind of recruiting the right people. I think it's really the key to find the right candidates. And I think the kind of mindset shift that companies should be doing here is like understanding the market has changed. Maybe 20 years ago, you were able to just do a job ad, you get a lot of applications, then you can kind of choose the best one and really interview candidates. I think nowadays, if you want to have the best possible candidates, you really need to be focusing on how do you sell your company to those candidates. Like why, for example, in our case, like why Talent.B would be an interesting opportunity for a salesperson, why they should quit their current job where they are earning good money, they have a good pool of customers. Like why to go away from that one to a new opportunity, which is always a risk. So really kind of identifying what are your unique selling points towards candidates as well. And at the same time, making sure that you are not overselling yourself to candidates. Because if you're doing that one, then someone joins, and then they're going to realize that the day-to-day life in the company isn't exactly what they imagine. And that's, I think, one of the biggest reasons why people are changing their jobs. And then fourthly, kind of really remembering that you have used a lot of money, a lot of time for hiring people. So really do a proper onboarding. And I think it's important to make sure that you are really kind of collecting feedback for your onboarding. So every time a new salesperson starts, like ask them like, hey, how the onboarding went, what you were missing on that one. So that is really kind of setting your company for success. So I think those are the learnings from today's session.
Yeah, I think these are really good. This is a really good starting point which you can follow to get better results in building your team, in building your sales success on your own side. But of course, I want to say that as a fifth point in this list. And I want to shortly introduce what we are doing, because our mission is to enable winning sales flow. And to enable winning sales flow, from our perspective, it means that we are helping our customers during the whole sales pipeline, starting from early marketing stages when you are generating leads. We are helping especially during the meetings, of course, also before the meeting and after the meeting when you send all kind of sales materials to your customers. But we are also helping in a collaboration between inside the sales team, between sales team members, between sales and marketing, between buyer and seller. So this is a sales presentation platform, and as I said, it's used on several stages during the process. And the main idea there is that it makes it very easy to maintain and manage and develop those sales materials, because all of them are in cloud in one place. So everyone has access for them 24/7. And there are several functions which make it easy to keep all the time up to date. Whenever you update one type of slide, we call them smart slides, then all presentations which have that slide will be updated. So it saves time, and because of our matrix structure in a presentation, and together with presenter view, you can adapt to the discussion what you have. So you are not like a train on railway, we start from here and goes there, because sales is not that kind of process in a meeting. It should be more like a discussion where you open the discussion topic and then you discuss, and based on what is the result of the discussion, you should open the next discussion topic. And that's why it's interesting to have this kind of tool where we have a matrix structure and good presenter view, where you see the whole presentation and you can jump from one place to other very smoothly. and have this kind of natural conversation with your customers. And as I said, it's really important that the platform itself is part of the sales and marketing ecosystem. We have integrations to most of CRMs, social medias, many analytics tools. Of course, we have integration to OpenAI, so you can generate your presentations with AI. So it is a really interesting tool which have saved money for our customers, and they have got better sales results, and that's why they are using our platform. In future, we will have more webinars, and I really recommend to also check all webinars which we have had. We are recording this, and we send this recording which you can share to your colleagues. But on our website, you can see also all other webinars which we have had earlier, and download those to you if you are interested about them more detailed. And there are interesting topics also, and you can also check some of our guides for example, for sales concept development and so on. We call it Seidat Academy. But how do you feel, Samuli? Have we contained the most of the topics which we mentioned in the agenda, and have we given any guidance how to get better results in sales?
Yeah, I think we answered most of the questions, and hopefully gave some good tips on how to ramp your salespeople faster. I think maybe in the end, just as an idea, like basically every company out there, they are having these kind of challenges, how to ramp up your salespeople. And I've seen this trend on kind of trying to find some place to kind of blame the thing, and I kind of understand that. It's good to understand like where the problem is, but I think the important part is to remember that if you have this problem, is typically because of multiple reasons. It's never about one thing. It's never about kind of wrong recruitment or wrong onboarding. It's always a combination of first kind of attracting wrong talent, kind of hiring wrong person. It's about bad onboarding. It's about bad sales process. It's about bad leadership. It's typically like combination of a lot of things. Of course, it might be 50% of wrong recruitment and 50% of other stuff, or it might be if you have a shitty sales leader, it might be 100% of bad leadership, and everything else went kind of smoothly. So there is kind of multiple reasons why you might fail on this. But I think we hopefully get some good tips for the listeners how to get this one the next level. And I think we're good to go. Good to go. So big thanks for all the listeners. Big thanks to you, Paulus. I translate that one to English. Paulus for the webinar. Great discussion. And if you enjoyed, or if there was something that you felt like we could have done better, would love to hear feedback. You can share, for example, on LinkedIn for us regarding that one.
Yes, thank you, Samuli. I think it was really interesting that you could join to our session, and I liked this conversation with you. I hope that same with others, and I hope that you will get better sales results. And if you are interested, please contact us and connect us. And I'm of course always interested to discuss more details about Seidat. Thank you, and have a really nice summer. It's also here in Finland. Finally, but let's do the sales work until the vacations, and after that even harder. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.